Hello my dear students. So today we will learn about human brain. That's the second subtopic of the control coordination chapter. Fine. So our human nervous system that consists of the peripheral nervous system and central nervous system. In short form we can say PNS and CNS. Fine. Now central nervous system that includes the spinal cord and brain. Okay. Now what the peripheral nervous system do? What is the main function? So that peripheral nervous system, the communication between the CNS, that is central nervous system, and the other part of the body is facilitated by the PNS. Means peripheral nervous system that communicate between the central nervous system that consists of spinal cord and brain and other part of the body, by which our body functions do properly. Okay. Now, so again the communication between the CNS, that is central nervous system, and other part of the body is facilitated by the peripheral nervous system, PNS. Okay. It consists of how peripheral nervous system do this. So with the help of, it consists of 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Cranial nerves means which arise from brain. So this PNS consists of 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves that arise from spinal cord. So with the help of these two, cranial nerves and spinal nerves, PNS, peripheral nervous system, communicate between the central nervous system and other part of the body. Fine. So 12 pairs of cranial nerves which arise from brain and 31 pairs of spinal nerves which arise from spinal cord. So this is a brief information about the peripheral nervous system. Now the central nervous system that consists of spinal cord and brain. So what we have in our syllabus, that is structure of brain. So we will study in detail that what the structure. And see, I have drawn here the diagram also of the human brain. But what I always say, just open your textbook and you can open page number 118. Okay. Because diagram is given there. If this diagram is not clear, the labeling and all those things, then you can refer that textbook also. Just open it and keep it in front of you. Okay. Now come. Structure of the brain. Our whole brain, and first I will read out the labeling what I have done here. See, this one part is the forebrain, this one, okay, that is called the cerebrum. The outer one, that is called the cranium or the skull, hardcore, okay. This one is a midbrain, here the hypothalamus, and this pons, medulla and cerebellum, okay. These three are the part of the hindbrain and this is the spinal cord. Same labeling they have given in your textbook also, okay. Now, structure of brain. Our whole brain is divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Okay, this is the forebrain, this one midbrain and this is the hindbrain. Fine, three parts of our human brain. So one by one. The first one is the forebrain. That is a main part of the brain. Now again, here this forebrain, this part is divided into three subparts, that is cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus. Right? Cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus. This part is cerebrum. Just below the cerebrum, thalamus is there and hypothalamus. So three subparts of the first one, the major part of the brain, that is called forebrain. Fine. Now one by one. Cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. You can see the largest part, the maximum part is covered by the cerebrum. So largest part of the brain, that is the cerebrum. Okay. Now outer region is made up of cerebral cortex. The outer one, cerebral cortex, that is made up of. Okay. And it is divided into, means cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres. That is two parts called the left and the right cerebral hemisphere. Two hemispheres are there, that is of the cerebrum. Okay, and these two hemispheres are joined together by the corpus callosum. Mass of muscles is there in between that. So they help in joining the left and the right hemisphere. Okay, so what we have learned about the cerebrum, that is the largest part of the brain, and outer, that is made up of the cerebral cortex, and cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres, cerebral hemisphere left and the right one, and this left and right cerebral hemisphere joined together by corpus callosum. Okay, so this word is not given in your textbook, but here I am explaining. So corpus callosum, which helps in joining the two hemispheres of the cerebrum. That's the brain part. Fine. So this is all about the forebrain, and the first one is the cerebrum. Okay. Now what happened? This cerebrum, left and right hemisphere, that's having both. So both, each cerebral hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes. Now what are those 4 lobes? That is the frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal. And they have different functions. Now one by one. Frontal lobe. Now here see, I have drawn the diagram of the brain. How this cerebrum part, only the cerebrum part I have drawn. Fine. Now cerebrum, this the front part is called the frontal lobe. This one I have written here P, that is the parietal lobe. This one O, occipital lobe. And here I have written T, that is temporal lobe. So this is the cerebrum part, and how this cerebrum is divided into 4 lobes. So front one, F is frontal lobe, P is parietal, O is occipital and T is the temporal. This is the division of the 4 lobes of the cerebrum. Left and right hemisphere, they have these lobes. Okay. Now the first one, frontal. What is the function of the frontal lobe? That is associated with the reasoning, logical. All these controlled by the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. This one. Okay. Now the parietal, that is the perception of sensation like pressure, touch, pain. So these all are sensed or controlled by the parietal lobe, this part of the brain. Then the occipital lobe, that is a visual perception. Fine. Then the temporal lobe, that control for interpreting sounds and the languages we hear. Okay. And formation of memories. So to understand the language, which type of sound is coming, then we recognize and then keep it as a memory. Okay, so these all are controlled by the temporal. So these are the functions of the 4 lobes of cerebrum. Fine, that is frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal. Here one thing, in your textbook, NCERT CBSE textbook, they have not used these terms, frontal, parietal, occipital, temporal. But all together they have given the function of cerebrum. And the functions, these are the functions. But here what I did, I have separated out, I have explained each and every lobe of the cerebrum, where it is located, the position, exact position which they control. Now here, these are the function of the 4 lobes of the cerebrum. And cerebrum, here the left and the right hemisphere. So both they have these 4 lobes. Okay. So once again, can we do that? Frontal is associated with reasoning. Parietal, that is perception of sensation like pressure, touch, pain. Occipital, visual perception. Temporal means for interpreting sounds and the languages we hear. And then formation of memories. So this is all about the cerebrum. So cerebrum, the major part of the brain, the largest part of the brain. Now come to the next one is the thalamus. Here, this is located just below the cerebrum, cerebral hemisphere. Okay, these 2 cerebral hemispheres are there. The cerebrum part, below that, that is the thalamus. Now here, what is the function of the thalamus? It will act as a relay station. Relay station means whatever the signals or the sensation or the neuron that bring the messages, what happens, the thalamus will take it and then send it to the correct lobe of the cerebrum. Just see, located below the cerebral hemisphere, it acts as a relay station, means it passes the signal to the correct part of cerebrum. Okay, so it receives the signals, then cerebrum is having the 4 lobes. Now the thalamus part will decide and will give, okay, this sensation will go to this lobe, this one will go to this lobe. So proper distribution of the sensation according to the function is done by the thalamus. That's why it acts as a relay station. I've written here relay station. Fine. So that will what happen? That will passes the signals to the correct part of the cerebrum, to which lobe they have to. Now last is the hypothalamus. Here you can see. Fine. Now hypothalamus, this is located below the thalamus. So first one is cerebrum, then thalamus, then hypothalamus. Now it acts as a connecting link between the endocrine and nervous system. This is the function of hypothalamus. Connecting link between nervous system and endocrine. Endocrine, that related to the glands which release the hormones. Right? So nervous system by the pituitary gland. Now what is the function of this hypothalamus? Means if they are controlling or connecting link between the nervous system and the endocrine glands. Now here, releasing hormone, they help in release. Naturally the glands release hormones. Okay, regulating the body temperature, controlling the appetite, okay, emotional responses, that also controlled by the hypothalamus. So this is all about what we have studied just now. That is about the forebrain, the first part of the brain, the major part of the brain. So brain, that is divided into three. The forebrain again divided into three subparts: cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus. Cerebrum again divided into four lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal. Then thalamus is the connecting link, and here the hypothalamus is the link between the nervous system and endocrine system. Okay, now about the forebrain is over. Now we have to move towards the midbrain. So just have a look of this one. So after forebrain, the next part of the brain is the midbrain. Okay. Now midbrain, it is present in the middle of forebrain. Here you can see. This is the part of the forebrain and here this is the midbrain. It controls reflexes of eyes, ears and head overall. So all the reflexes controlled by the midbrain part. Fine, only this much function is there. Now the last part of the brain, that is called the hindbrain. Okay, now this is the hindbrain part. You can see this one is the cerebellum, this is medulla, this is pons. That all three includes in the hindbrain. Now cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. This is the full term. In your textbook they have given only the medulla. Fine. One by one. Cerebellum. Okay. Now here the cerebellum is the largest part of the hindbrain. You can see. Okay. Don't be confused with the cerebrum and this is cerebellum. Cerebrum is the part of forebrain and cerebellum is the part of the hindbrain. So it is the largest part of the hindbrain. It maintains, what is the function? It maintains the body balance and posture. Okay, example means suppose I want to walk in a straight line. So that is controlled by the cerebellum. Okay, now it controls voluntary muscular body movements. All that is controlled by the cerebellum. Right? So to control the body balance and the posture. Next one is the pons. This one. It acts as a bridge between the brain and spinal cord. Brain and this is the spinal cord. So this one, this pons will act as a bridge to connect the brain and the spinal cord. This is the function, only one function of the pons. Fine. So cerebellum, pons. And the last part of the hindbrain is the medulla oblongata. Now what is this medulla oblongata? Okay, it is the lowermost portion of the brain. Here, this one. Okay. Now, this one medulla oblongata. This is cerebellum. This one medulla oblongata. Lowermost portion of the brain. It is the reflex center of all the activities, which reflex center to control the activities like salivation, swallowing, vomiting, sneezing, heartbeat, blood pressure. So all these are controlled reflex center of that activities, of these activities, that is the medulla oblongata, this one. Okay, so it controls all involuntary actions. Fine. So involuntary actions controlled by the medulla oblongata, here lowermost portion of the brain, isn't it? Okay, so that is the reflex center to control activities like salivation, swallowing, vomiting, sneezing, heartbeat and blood pressure. So all the involuntary action controlled by medulla oblongata. Right? So here in this way we have studied the structure of brain that is divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Then forebrain again divided into three parts: cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus. Fine. Now cerebrum is again divided into four lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal lobe. Fine. And then we have studied about the thalamus and hypothalamus. Then the midbrain divided into, that is the reflex center for eyes, ears. So that is the middle part of the forebrain. Here it is situated. Then after that the hindbrain then divided into three: cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. Fine. Now cerebellum we have studied, pons we have studied and the medulla oblongata. Fine. Now here this all about the structure of the brain and the function of each and every part. Now one question is there: how are these tissues protected? Tissues means whatever the whole brain, how that is protected, by which structure or by which function. So here human brain is present in the bony case that is called skull or the cranium, the outer hard covering. So that is present in a bony case called the skull or the cranium. Okay, and what is the function of the skull? That protects the brain from the external injuries. Okay, now it is covered with three meninges. Here after the cranium there are the three membranes, three meninges, three layers are there, and those meninges, the name of those meninges are dura, arachnoid and pia mater. These three membranes are there. First cranium, skull. Okay, below that three meninges, three membranes are there. That is dura, arachnoid and pia mater. These are there. Now, the space between the arachnoid and pia mater, that is filled with a cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. So that CSF will protect the brain from mechanical shock. So this is a cerebrospinal fluid which will protect the brain from mechanical shocks, and that is present between the arachnoid and pia mater, these two meninges. So this is the way how our brain is protected. Okay, those are the things which are present. Okay, in your textbook they have given one more thing. How does the nervous tissue cause action? Action means nervous tissue, with the help of the neuron, the message from the sensory parts sent to the brain, then brain again give the message to the muscles to do the action, to the hand or legs motion. Now how this nervous tissue cause action? Now muscle cells will move by changing their shape. As soon as they will get the nervous impulse, that is the electrical impulse from the nerve, with the help of the neuron, nervous tissue, they change their shape, and then the movement occur. In the case of animals, muscles, how they move. Now how they change the shape? Muscles, how they change the shape? Now muscle cells have special protein, that is actin and myosin. The name of these two protein they have not given in the NCERT textbook. They have given just a special protein. Okay, so these two special proteins are present in the muscles. So that is actin and myosin, that change both their shape and their arrangements. The sliding like movement will be there in the muscles with the help of these protein. So they change the shape and their arrangement in the cells in response to the nervous electrical impulse. When this shape and the arrangement is changed, then the muscles move. That shows the movement in the muscles. So nervous tissue, they bring the signal or the messages from the brain to the muscles. Then here what the muscles do, the proteins which are the special proteins which are present, actin and myosin, they change the shape and arrangement, and then the response, the movement occurs, that is to the nervous electrical impulse response to this one. So this is the last topic, how does the nervous tissue cause action, after the human brain topic, and after that the coordination will be there. Now here, how in the board, how they ask the question related to the human brain structure or this one. So human brain, related to that, they can ask which part of the brain control the maintain the body balance and the posture. So that is the cerebellum of hindbrain. Which part control the involuntary action? That is the medulla oblongata. What is the difference between the cerebrum and cerebellum? So cerebrum is the part of forebrain and cerebellum is the part of hindbrain. Then you can differentiate the function of these two. So in this way they ask the question. Okay, the labeling and the diagram you have to practice for this one. This year only in the board exam, they have asked one question related to the human brain. Just see, they have asked in this way: a cheetah on seeing a prey moves towards him at a very high speed. What causes the movement of his muscles? And next part, how does the chemistry of cellular component of muscle change during this event? The first one is, what causes the movement of his muscles? Here, what causes the movement of his muscle? First, the cheetah with the sense, the photoreceptor, the cheetah has seen the prey, and that message goes to the brain, CNS, central nervous system, and then back to the muscle. So here that moves toward the prey. What causes the movement? So this one, photoreceptor to the CNS and then to the motor neuron. We gave you the three, that is the sensory neuron, relay neuron and motor neuron. Fine. Now next part is, how does the chemistry of cellular component of muscle change? Here, with the help of the special protein actin and myosin. So just change the shape as well as the arrangement, and by which the muscle movements occur. So in such way they ask the question. They never ask, describe the whole structure of the brain. Then you have to describe forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. They ask in a bits, in a section, A, B, C, if 3 marks, 5 marks or 2 marks. So each and every part should be very much clear. Okay, so this is all about the human brain. Thank you.